and welcome to Eat with Ease. I'm so happy you decided to say yes to this course. Honestly, that tells me that you're not saying yes to me, you're actually just saying yes to yourself. And this is an important priority to you right now. And I want to encourage you as you're going through this process to continue to prioritize yourself, because it is so easy, especially as women, to think if I'm not prioritizing other people in front of me, then I'm being selfish. But the truth is that if we don't work on the things that are going on in here and in here that are keeping us from being the best version of ourselves for others, then actually prioritizing ourselves and our well-being and our health can be the most selfless thing that we can do. So I want to encourage you to really dig into this process and dig deep into what it has for you. Some quick housekeeping: any tech issues that you're having, any billing questions, direct those to support@yatesnutrition.com. And then be sure to use your peer-to-peer support group in Facebook. If you don't have a Facebook, it's okay. But if you do, that is there for you so that you can connect with like-minded women who are also on this journey. They might be starting it at the exact same time as you, and so you guys are there to support each other and keep each other accountable. Or there might be some others that have kind of been far along in the process and can actually offer some insight for you that maybe you really need to hear that day. So be sure to celebrate yourself and also take your questions there. That is there for you guys to mingle with each other and support each other, because this can be lonely when you struggle with your relationship with food. People don't really like talking about that, shockingly, so it's good to have a safe space for that. And I do want to say, any time that something goes well, be sure you share it, post it in the group, and celebrate your wins. It's really easy to think like, ugh, nobody's going to care about this. This is stupid. Who cares that I wasn't thinking about lunch as soon as I was done with my breakfast? That's exciting for me, but nobody else is going to find that exciting. First of all, that's not true. Like I said, it's a group of like-minded women who have been on the same journey as you, so they will relate. And second of all, I really want to encourage you to share those wins, because for a strategic reason, when you do that, your brain is picking up the messages and the signals that things are going well for you, and you're doing you're getting this positive feedback, right? And so when you see that you're sharing and you do that act, it's giving your brain the message that we want to keep doing that. So I say share your wins for a very specific reason so that you continue to have wins. And then just a caveat as well, if at any point in this journey, either it's in the beginning or the middle or the end, if you feel like I'm ready for the next level of support, I want a coach on my side, I want to dig more into this, keep in mind we're doing a small slice in this course of what we have in Nourished and Free. So if you want that next level of more materials, more things to learn, and then also having a coach with you to support you and answer your questions, then I would encourage you to apply for Nourished and Free, and I can give you more information on that. So the mission of this course, honestly, I do what I do because, one thing I wanted to say really quick before I talk about the mission of this course: go to that Facebook group if you have your Facebook and introduce yourself. Let people know who you are. That way, that creates a culture that it's easier to open up, right? So share a photo of yourself. I know you have one somewhere in your camera roll. And share your occupation, your favorite food, what you're excited to learn about in this course. Really anything is fine. And even if you don't have an occupation, right, and you're a stay-at-home mom, that's amazing too. That's even more hours than a 40-hour-a-week job. So share that too. Everything about you. We just want to know your story and we want to know who you are. So pause this video, go do that really quick, and then come back. Okay, back to the mission. The mission of this course. And the reason that I do what I do is because I know that in the culture we live in, the diet industry loves to make money. And something that they figured out is that they can make money if women are insecure. And then if they're insecure and we offer them the solution to the insecurities, they're going to pay for that. And so The diet industry has gotten really good at being sneaky and making us feel less than, and making us feel like we need the plastic surgery, or we need the diet pill, or we need the Weight Watchers or the crash diet or whatever it is. And they love to make money off of it. And so that's not like, that doesn't fly with me. I don't appreciate that. And I don't appreciate that these things that we're sold, these ideas that we're sold, are just continuing to confuse us and tell us things that aren't even true. Like the idea that we have to count all of our calories, or that we have to figure out our macro ratios and follow that to a T, right? Like these things, we don't have to do these things. And I'm here to teach you that our body does that for us. Our body tracks our calories for us. It tracks how much energy we need and how much we have left. And it tracks what the next macronutrient is that you really need to focus on. Like it does all of that for us. All we have to do is sit back and listen. That's it. And we do this by a process called intuitive eating. So in all, intuitive eating has actually 10 principles. And in this course, we'll be doing a scaled back version and really mastering 2 of those principles, because I think they can be the 2 that really, for some people, it's enough to change their life just to focus on those 2. Not to say they're the 2 most important. They're all important. And that is what we go through in Nourished and Free, is all 10 of those, plus some other body image work and mindset work. So mostly in this course, though, we're going to be focusing on the 2: honor your hunger and feel your fullness. And by mastering these 2 simple things, the concept of portion control is a hell of a lot easier. And we can laugh at serving sizes even, because we know they don't define what we specifically need on our plate. And we can delete the apps on our phones. We can throw away the containers that are supposed to show us exactly what to eat. We can, fire the coach that's telling us and calculating for us how many calories we need. And we can just live our lives. So I'm excited for you. Let's dive in. So what I want to do with this module is really dive into, well, let me backtrack. We can't honor our hunger or feel our fullness if we are unconsciously eating in specific ways. So today I do want to talk about the differing eating personalities and what our motivations are, what our bends are, how we're bent in the way that we choose to eat. Because if we're not aware of that, then moving forward is just not really going to happen. And awareness is the first step to change, right? We have to know that we have a problem before we can fix the problem. So let's bring some awareness and let's talk about the different eating personalities that you may be experiencing that are causing you to not be able to move forward in the intuitive eating process. So the number 1 is the careful, clean eater. So the clean eater, I think we probably all know this person. They're really respected for being the healthy one or being the fit one. That person who works out 7 days a week, no rest days, no grind, no shine, whatever. No pain, no gain. Sweat is fat leaving the body. Like that person that's really triggered by health and fitness. They have every supplement in their kitchen. And everybody knows that person is the healthy one, right? They eat chicken and broccoli or whatever it is. And so on the outside, they really look like this perfect eater and this perfect image of health. But on the inside, they're anguishing over every morsel of food and its effect that it might have on the body. On the surface, right, this person is super fitness oriented, health oriented, and they're very healthy. But the problem is that this rigid approach to food can really affect their mental health, and it can affect their relationship with food and negatively impact their body and their mental health. So this person might be binge eating in secret. We don't know, because they won't tell us, because they're the perfect image of health. Or they could be just way over restrictive, which is equally as damaging. And then the professional dieter is triggered by, this is the second eating personality. This person can be triggered by just trying to lose weight. They just want to shrink their body. They don't like what they see in the mirror. And so they are perpetually dieting. They're perpetually restricting because they need to have less calories consumed than they're expending. And so if they're dieting, then they're, going to lose weight, right? But when they're trying every single diet book, every single med, every single whatever, the problem is that this chronic under eating usually ends up in periodic binges, overeating, weight cycling, and slowed metabolism. So it's really getting them nowhere. And then the unconscious eater, we actually have a few different subtypes of the unconscious eater. This person is triggered by a few different things, one of them being multitasking eating, but I'll talk more about the other triggers. And this person is really unaware. In general, we'll go through the subtypes, but in general, this person is unaware that what they're eating or even how much has been eaten, right? And they're unaware that it matters, right? Because it's unconscious. So let's talk about the subtypes here. This will make some more sense. So the first one is that we can be a chaotic unconscious eater. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is either like a CEO or a mom with little kids. And it just so happens I'm both of those. So I have a lot of chaos in my life and I have to fight really hard. Well, I don't anymore, but I think I would have to fight hard if I hadn't done all this work on my own relationship with food to be sure I'm not this unconscious eater. Because when we have an overscheduled life and things are haphazard, then we're just kind of gulping and going and grabbing and consuming whenever we can. It's not really based on anything except that we just can in that moment. So we got to get it in, right? So whenever the food is available, we're going to go ahead and have it, even if we didn't necessarily need it. And then the refuse not unconscious eater is just triggered by the presence of food. If it's there, then I'm going to eat it, right? Because it's just in front of me. I can't say no. And so they might be influenced by food just being present in general. If it's in a meeting or on the counter or whatever, if it's around, they're going to have it because they just can't say no. And then the waste not unconscious eater is really triggered by the food dollar and by free food. So either they must eat all free food because because it's free, or they have to finish their plate because they paid for it, right? Either they bought the groceries for it or they paid for it at the restaurant. So they're not going to let a single thing go to waste because they want to get their money's worth, right? This person is usually really susceptible to like all you can eat buffets, free food samples, going to parties where there's a bunch of food available that's for free. Yeah. So then the last one is the emotional unconscious eater. They're really triggered by uncomfortable emotions or stress or just feelings, right? Especially when they're alone, that can also be a huge trigger for them. So all of these, the unconscious eater, the professional dieter, and the clean eater, being careful, this can all get in the way of us being what at the end of the day we're designed to be, which is an intuitive eater. We're actually all born as intuitive eaters. You watch a toddler eat and they stop after 2 bites and they're like, "Oh, done." And it can be maddening as a parent because you're like, I just spent so long getting that ready for you and now you're done. And it drives me crazy, but at the same time, it's like, for me as a mom, I'm like, that was what my toddler decided. She's done. I'm not going to force her to eat more, right? Because she knows it's innate that she's had enough food. And the next time she eats, she might ask for more when she's done. It's just like it ebbs and flows. And that's actually how we're supposed to be, is we're supposed to have this ebb and flow and just go with it. So the intuitive eater is not triggered by emotions. They're not triggered by multitasking or just food in general. They're triggered by biological hunger. They eat when they're hungry, and that's pretty much it. This person makes food choices without experiencing guilt because they know that they're just following what they're supposed to do for their body and that that's the best thing for their body, And they don't have these ethical dilemmas. They honor hunger, they respect fullness, and they enjoy food. They enjoy the pleasure of eating and they're satisfied. This is the ultimate goal because honestly, it doesn't present any problems, right? It takes some mastering, there's nuances, there's practice involved, but once you get to the point where this is who you are and you're back to that like innate intuitive eater that you were born as, there's no issues. Like I was just saying, I'm not a chaotic eater, even though my life circumstances say I should be, because I'm an intuitive eater instead. So there's no problems here. Am I perfect? No. And you're never going to be perfect either. So I just, I know there's some of you that are perfectionists watching this. So it's okay. You're not going to be perfect. Let me just get that out there right now. So when we're not motivated by shrinking our body or food just being available or being free, right? Or by emotions, rather we're just eating because our body says so and we stop when it says that we're full. This is a brand new life. So let's talk about what intuitive eating is. I've kind of mentioned it a few times, mentioned it has 10 principles. Let's talk about kind of higher level, what is it? What does that mean? So first of all, it means you have unconditional permission to eat when you're hungry and to have what you want. And I know that can feel scary. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But having unconditional permission is a huge part of this process. And you're going to learn more about why that is as we go throughout this course. But that's one of the things that marks an intuitive eater from anybody else is they're not the ones saying oh no, I can't have that. I can't. No. Unless it's an allergy thing. If they're just saying oh no, I can't eat that. That's not an intuitive eater, right? Because maybe they really want it. An intuitive eater is also marked by having something that looks decadent and maybe is very fatty, sugary, something delicious, right? They could have that in front of them and also be nah, I'm not really in the mood. Whereas everybody else is devouring it because they are an unconscious eater or they have some sort of this is my cheat meal or whatever. The intuitive eater is just doing their thing and it's very countercultural. The second thing is that they're eating for physical rather than emotional reasons. Typically, every now and then we're going to have emotional eating and that's honestly okay. I'm pretty neutral about that. Emotional eating is just another tool in your toolkit of regulating emotions and coping with emotions. It's not necessarily bad in and of itself. It just can be abused, right? So typically the intuitive eater is not emotional eating. They're just eating because physically they need it. And this is what feels good for their body. And this is what helps their body function well. And then the last thing is that they're relying on those internal cues. Their hunger, their satiety, and even just some logic comes into that too. And we'll talk more about this in the course as well. But they're using, honestly, the main thing is just the hunger and fullness is what they're relying on to know when and how much to eat. So that's why I really wanted to make this course all about hunger and fullness because that's such a huge part of intuitive eating. And let's think about this. Let's think about how countercultural this is. Have you ever been encouraged to eat what you want? Guilt-free. Maybe you have, but there's this sense of guilt attached to it. That's super countercultural to just be okay with eating what you want and doing it. Right? So the foundation of intuitive eating, we cannot move forward in this process unless we get this down. And the focus of this module, besides just introducing you to this concept, is interoceptive awareness. So interoceptive awareness is the ability to perceive physical sensations that are coming up in your body. So that could be my bladder, I need to go to the bathroom, or I'm thirsty, or I'm hungry, or I'm full, or I need to go to sleep because I'm tired, or I'm noticing that I'm feeling really sad right now. Anything that's coming up for you, your ability to just name it and recognize what that need is and what it's coming from, That's interoceptive awareness, and that's what we need to cultivate in order to be an intuitive eater. And that's a muscle that we have to train. It doesn't come easy, especially when we've like had that silenced, right? So when we are aware, there's some really cool things that happen. When we have this interoceptive awareness, that's giving us this really powerful information to get our biological needs met and also our psychological. And when we find those needs, we identify and name them and then meet them, we're shown to have better physical and mental well-being. It's crazy. So to put it another way, intuitive eating is a really personal process. It's personal to you. It's all about honoring health by listening and responding to the direct messages your body is sending you, not anybody else, about what you need in order to get your needs met. So having interoceptive awareness is an inside job, which is why these external methods don't help us. Calculating things, weighing ourselves in order to determine how much we need to eat, having somebody tell us what we're supposed to eat, eating what somebody else eats in a day, or eating like someone to try and look like them, or doing a meal plan, or any of these like diets that we're given, like they don't work because they're not based on you and your needs as an individual. And no, I don't mean calculating your calories based on your height and weight and activity level. That's also not what I mean. Even though technically that's about you, what I mean is we need to, it's an inside job. Whatever it is that's your body's request, that's what we have to listen to. And that's not always going to be the same as what the meal plan says. So that's why they don't work. Because it's personal, we can't squash it into a meal plan. We can't calculate it. We can't make a ratio. It's different for everyone, and it's based on your unique body. And here's the thing, this is what I hear a lot is, well, if I just give myself unconditional permission to eat whatever I want, then I'm just going to eat junk food all day. I'm just going to have pizza and ice cream and brownies and chips all day. But I want you to picture something. If you were to have ice cream every single meal, every single day, would you really be enjoying ice cream a week later? Even like a day later? Probably not. You'd probably be sick of it. And so this idea that intuitive eating is just like going to bring us to eating a bunch of junk, which I don't really like that term anyway. It implies that food is not, it can be junk in your body, but food is food, right? And it's also just kind of tone deaf because that food can be the only food some people have available in certain parts of the world. So I don't like that phrase, but the reality is that intuitive eaters are shown to have a perfectly balanced diet through research. This is what we're seeing. They have a perfectly balanced diet. They're eating all of their they're meeting all of their macronutrient needs, micronutrient needs, vitamins, minerals. They have improved blood pressure, blood lipids, body satisfaction, and they even have more desire to exercise, plus a whole bunch of other stuff that is positive about this process. So it's amazing when we know what our body needs and we meet that need, we're healthy. Amazing. Who would have thought? So factors that can interfere with this process, and the reason that you probably don't feel like you're an intuitive eater right now is, number one, how your parents fed you. If they told you that, if they were watching how much you ate and then told you that you need to eat more because you didn't eat enough, or you need to eat less because you've already had enough, if they required certain things to be eaten, like finish your vegetables before you can go play, if they made you earn your dessert, right, like finish all your food and then you can have dessert, things like that can really affect your ability to be an intuitive eater. Also, just like messages that we hear either from parents and caregivers or just from society in general and the media, like if your mom commented on her body, or if she was always dieting and talking about how food is good and bad, like stuff like that can really interfere with you being able to be interoceptively aware, and self-silencing as well. If you suppress your own thoughts and feelings and your needs, and this can be a result of trauma, or just really anything. If you are used to self-silencing and sweeping things under the rug and not processing what you need, then it's going to be hard to be an intuitive eater, right? Not impossible, but it can be hard and it can interfere. But the interesting thing is, these things can also promote intuitive eating when they're done right. So if your mom is not commenting on her own body and instead talking about like how her body how she's grateful for her body, or if you weren't made to earn your dessert, maybe your dessert was just already available to you at the same exact time and you didn't have to earn it, it was just there. Or maybe you've been taught how to regulate your emotions. These things can promote intuitive eating when they're done right. So for this module, here's your focus. Let me move this so you can see. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I'm a little uncomfortable with that one. Your focus is just to become aware. That's it. This is a muscle you have to train, so we've got to start somewhere. You can't do biceps one day, one time, and then expect to have like killer biceps. You have to train them repeatedly, and that's the same thing with our interoceptive awareness. We have to start training that muscle and just allowing ourselves to become aware. So you're going to have the hunger and fullness scale in your Module 1 workbook. Take a look at that, and you're going to start becoming aware of which number on the hunger scale you are when you start eating and then when you're done eating. And then you're going to look for trends. I recommend writing it down, like in a notepad or on your notes on your phone. Write it down, and so you can see these trends of, okay, why am I always like stuffing myself to a 10 when I'm done eating? Or why am I always starving when I start eating? Or why am I never hungry when I start eating? Am I ever eating to the point of being full, or am I just eating to the point of lack of hunger, right? So in that 4 to 5 to 6 range. Look for the trends and start to learn and be curious about yourself. Don't worry about changing anything just yet. We're going to do that next module, but just start to train this muscle of awareness. And that's it. And then share with the group how it's going, what you learn about yourself, and just be curious. All right. Let me know how it goes.